From Dallas, Texas, the flash, apparently official, President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, some 38 minutes ago. Vice President Lyndon Johnson has left the hospital in Dallas, but we do not know to where he has proceeded. Presumably, he will be taking the oath of office shortly and become the 36th President of the United States.
Senator Robert Francis Kennedy died at 1:44 a.m. today, June 6, 1968. With Senator Kennedy, at the time of his death, were his wife Ethel, his sisters Mrs. Stephen Smith and Mrs. Patricia Lawford, brother-in-law Mr. Stephen Smith.
At midnight last Friday, Senator Edward M. Kennedy drove a car off a narrow bridge and into a pond on Martha's Vineyard, Massachusetts. A young woman in the car with him was drowned. Kennedy survived but failed to report the accident until 10 hours later. Today, police moved to prosecute the senator on a charge of leaving the scene of an accident after causing bodily harm. ABC's Mal Good reports from Edgartown, Massachusetts.
My fellow citizens, I have requested this opportunity to talk to the people of Massachusetts about the tragedy which happened last Friday evening. This morning I entered a plea of guilty to the charge of leaving the scene of an accident. Prior to my appearance in court, it would have been proper for me to comment on these matters. But tonight I am free to tell you what happened and to say...
Hi, Nick.
Hey, Rob.
How are you feeling tonight?
I feel great. I'm hot and sweaty. I got the crescent moons underneath my nipples. I got the smiley faces on my shirt today.
It was a rough one today, man.
I was driving around with the girls. I had my shirt pulled up and just letting the AC blow on my nips.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, "What are you doing, Daddy?" I said, "Girls, Daddy's got some big old saggy tits, and he's got to dry these puppies off because they're barking, all right?"
Got to.
It was dripping.
Got the Mickey Mouse sweat stains on your shirt.
It was worse. Like, my head was okay, but Christ, underneath my tits was sweating so bad. so bad.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably how my taint was today.
Yeah, big old, just a long, slippery slide.
Yeah, I had to go to the store and get some baby powder because I
called the bonsai.
I started chafing real bad today. It was pretty rough.
We have underwear in this house that my wife, she calls them my Kings Island underwear.
Yeah.
Because Kings Island is in a local amusement park we go to, and I have to wear those to Kings Island in order to keep my shit together, keep my nuts from bleeding and stuff. Women, they complain about...
They just get up in there.
Yeah, women, they complain about childbirth and periods and all this stuff, but they don't know about the chafing, man.
It's rough, man. I think my stuff probably looks like an Aldi steak that was left out in the sun all day. With a dog chewed on it a little bit. You know?
Gray.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
Some gray, prickly hair.
Yeah, go home and sit there, just open up my legs and let my wife slap some lotion all over me. Lotion me up, babe.
That's the worst. I think women do chafe too, so they probably know all about this.
Yeah.
Now, if I sound a little bit different, it's because we bought the industry standard microphone amongst audio recording professionals.
So now we both have the same one.
We do. We have the same microphones as Joe Rogan. So we don't have nearly the amount of money as Joe Rogan.
We're getting there.
But we did use our Patreon money to buy the microphone, and...
Thank you, everybody.
Speaking of Patreon, I would like to thank our newest Patreon subscribers, starting with Liv.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Liv. L-I-V.
L-I-V. Next. Oh, shit. Of course I get this one. Stree8211 Brad.
Yeah, that's... I wrote that down. Like I said, I bet you... I had to look. I said, his name's Brad, but Straight 8211.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, buddy. Chris Savoy. Christopher, thank you.
Peter Martirano. Thank you very much, Peter.
I've never, ever had a friend named Peter until now.
It's nice, isn't it?
Peter, I would love to get together sometime. Thank you, Peter. And also Dustin Collins, he subscribed to the $50 tier. He gets to pick his own episode and be on the episode, like Matt Hirsch from last week, like Victor Shevchenko from weeks ago, like who else? Julie Ho,
Yeah.
like Aaron Griffiths, like all the people.
Man, your memory is... You're like Rain Man over there.
I made all those fucking names up, Rob. That's all right. Thank you, Dustin. We'll be getting in touch about your topic. We got some people in front of you. Like next week, I can't remember her name off the top of my head.
Oh, man. After I just talked you up.
Miss Wyatt. I know her last name's Wyatt, but she's choosing Doomsday Cults.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Cool. Next for Patreon patrons, we have, where are we at? Jeremy Netto. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. And then the ever so wonderful Lapida Castillo. She's an avid
Hey, thank you.
butt chugger in our closed group, Butt Chuggers Anonymous, which I am no longer in because it's a fucking nightmare. If you need to reach the delicious Nicolicious, you can send me an email, brohiapodcast@gmail.com. You can write the Facebook page.
I'm still in there. Not that I matter, but I don't.
That.
I've been laying low.
It just got to the point where
It's crazy, man.
my children were taking notice that I was spending too much time on the podcast. I said, "All right, girls, you get your daddy back." So I took a little Facebook vacation.
They're great.
I've tried to structure where I check all the podcast stuff every other day, like the emails, return everything, just do it every other day because getting to the point where there's a lot of people writing us silly stuff.
Yeah.
Got my hamster neutered today. You want to send you a picture of his nuts that he doesn't have anymore because I like the Bro High podcast show.
We try to respond to everything. It's kind of hard because some things don't justify responses.
Yeah.
So we got to kind of,
Are you sure Bill Wilkins didn't die his own vomit? Yeah.
pretty sure.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Who knows?
And then we talked to some of our friends this week. She wrote us and said that it's her boyfriend's birthday on July 8th, and his name is Connor Batt. She said she wanted us to wish him a happy birthday.
Well, happy fucking birthday.
Happy birthday, Connor. Big 1-8. I don't know how old he's going to be. 6? I don't know. 8?
73.
Yeah. And speaking of the Joe Rogan show, on there this week.
Yeah.
Did you listen to Ted Nugent?
Fuck yeah, I did.
Okay. Hold on a second. I got to pause this for a second.
All right.
Save before I go on a fucking tirade here.
Here we go.
Okay, so if you don't listen to the Joe Rogan podcast, Ted Nugent was on there, the rock star from the 60s and 70s.
Cat scratch fever.
They talked about all kinds of stuff, but the one thing that hit home for me is I've had an 8-year-old that's transitioning to being a vegetarian.
Oh, yeah.
She snapped out of it this week. She got a number 6 from McDonald's.
Good for her.
Sweet and sour sauce with a root beer. She ate all the nuggets, ate the fries. She did it.
I'm sorry.
She did it up.
Meat's delicious.
Yes. And he said to... he's an avid...
They're both avid hunters.
He's an avid hunter, and he brought up... The only point I would like to say, in reference to vegans, he said you got your tofu... The vegans live off the tofu and the beans and all these different... all kinds of different plants, which I'm not knocking the vegan lifestyle.
No.
It's completely fine. I'm fucking destroying my body with the stuff that I eat, so if you would not like to do that, I applaud you for that. But he said the farmers that grow the tofu, they grow the stuff for the tofu, they grow the beans, they grow the corn. These farmers literally spend their entire day trying to eradicate squirrels, rabbits, mice, any kind of rodent that gets into their crops. And what do they do, Rob, to get rid of these rodents? Fucking kill them.
They kill them, yeah.
And then, if that's not enough, they spray all the plants with pesticides to kill all these innocent insects.
Poor little insects.
And I just thought that was such a valid argument. I've never argued with a vegan, nor do I care to. So if you write me to argue about being a vegetarian, I'm not going to do it because I support whatever you do.
Yeah.
If you like to jerk dogs off in your spare time, then damn it, doggy.
Just don't praise it to me. I don't really give a shit.
Exactly.
To each their own. If you want to fucking eat plants, if you want to eat people. I don't,
I like salad, but you're going to need to put a lot of blue cheese on there for me. Come on.
throw some ham and eggs on there too.
Yeah, salt, little pepper.
Mhm.
Whatever. I thought it was a good point. But Rob, I got an article for you, and it's about Pornhub.
Hey, my favorite.
You ever been there before?
Once or twice.
I have not.
Today.
So I didn't even know what the article was about, honestly. This week, Pornhub is rolling out an update to the site that will add in closed caption for its videos.
I want to do that.
As one of the world's largest purveyors of porn, the site has taken unique steps towards accessibility, with this being the latest example. Via the press release, Corey Price, Pornhub's vice president, it says VP.
I want that job.
It could mean vegan penis. I don't know. Here at Pornhub, it's important that we continue to service all of our users' needs
Giggity.
and make content accessible to every individual. He sounds like a politician. How fitting for this episode, Rob Dog.
Very.
Pornhub might be on the cedar side of the internet. What's the seedier side of the internet? Is that where everyone fucks each other?
I think so.
I don't know, Rob. But the company previously launched a descriptive video section for the blind way back in 2016.
Gotta love them braille nipples. The little bumps on them.
Is that your asshole?
The Stevie Wonders.
I get the bumps mixed up. Is that your asshole or is that your pussy hole? So far, these features are only on a couple thousand of the videos. I mean, how many videos do you need? Of the site's videos, they're in the major categories for sexuality/gender identity. The project was the product of Pornhub's more wholesome edge, Pornhub Cares. Which, regardless of your feelings about the platform and porn in general, offers some surprisingly awesome content. It includes scholarships, Mia Khalifa, educational videos for safer sex at various ages, panda conservation,
Okay.
because everyone likes to spank their panda every once in a while, and countless other causes. There's some legitimately great stuff here, and it's honestly heartwarming to see people at least trying to be decent as we stand on the precipice of cruel cyberpunk dystopia. Man, I should have went to a fucking website with dumber authors. Making the world more accessible is just a good thing to do. Plus, the videos are hilarious, especially if you can take a step back and realize that porn is kind of ridiculous. Over the top, campy-ass farce. Then you can watch someone with something that is way disproportionately large place that on, in, or near someone else.
All right.
Speak for yourself. Then the rhythmic moaning starts, and in all caps, in all caps, white text over black background scrolls across your screen. Oh, God. Or you could pop over to the described video section and listen to people describe it at length, pretty much everything. And yes, that's pretty damn hilarious too.
Porn commentary.
That's
great.
Where do I sign up to be the person that transcribes?
That's what I want to know.
Who watches the acting in porn?
Yeah. I strictly stay away from the stuff that has a budget.
I stay
If they're
away.
like role playing and shit and that there's a story, I don't want anything to do with that.
I really don't watch anything with women in it either. That's just not my
Same.
thing.
Yeah.
I like to see. Oh my God.
Excuse
Jeez. I like to see an asshole just getting torn out of the fucking frame, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's my thing. Two guys my size just scissoring, and then they do the... I watched this one video where they put their buttholes together and they fart into each other.
Ooh.
The one guy died because it made his stomach expand and pop like a balloon.
It's funny that you said that because I just watched today the poop back and forth together forever video. I just watched that today.
Why would you do that?
It's funny.
Okay. I like it. In this episode of the Brohio Podcast Show, the delicious Nicolicious and Rob Diggity Dog, we're covering the Kennedy curse.
Oh, yeah, we are.
As you heard from the beginning of the episode.
Yeah. We're not gonna...
Disclaimer.
Yeah, we talked about doing the whole JFK conspiracy deal at first.
Yep. We were wrong.
That's a big dog right there, so I don't think we had enough time to prep for that one.
This is a build-up to that.
So
I want to do it soon.
Yeah, this is going to be a build-up. This is the kind of the next best thing, because we figured, talking about all this, that there's, enough crazy stuff in this, in the Kennedy family.
You guys
altogether.
have no idea what's going on in this family.
It's nuts. It's crazy.
It is. There's all kinds of horrible things that have happened to this stupid fucking family. And after reading about the patriarch, Joseph Kennedy, the dad, all this stuff happened for good reason. Because he was the ultimate cum stain.
Whew.
He was the grimiest. I may just speak for myself, but we'll let the research do the talking. Not that we do much research. We just kind of copy and paste from Wikipedia and then come out here and regurgitate it to the masses.
Hey.
And then you people eat it up in the tens of thousands.
I love it.
If you read some of our reviews, that's what they say. They say we don't research.
Yeah, I guess we really don't.
We had a lot of really good reviews this week.
We did, yeah.
And we had one from Dolph Ziggler, the professional wrestler. It said his name was Dolph Ziggler. I
hope it really is.
Because he's a fucking stud, man.
Yeah.
Do you know who he is?
Yeah, I know who he is.
Oh man, he's a stud.
Yeah.
He
That's
is
old
a
school.
bona fide stud. But let's start with
First off, Dolph, if that's you, if you really do listen, hit us up. I want to talk to you. Let's do an interview.
He is from Ohio, actually.
Yeah.
He's from Cleveland. Speaking of Cleveland, did you know they lost their best pitcher this week in the Indians? He got traded to the Dodgers or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Some kind of touchdown thing. I don't know.
Yeah. Sports.
Not that we fucking care here at the Ohio Podcast Show.
I don't give a shit.
I like sports, but don't care. The Kennedy curse.
All right.
The Kennedy family starts with the father, or Joseph P. Kennedy Sr. That's Joseph Joe P. Kennedy Sr. and mom, Rose Kennedy mom. Now, we can trace the Kennedy family back a few generations, but we're starting with Joseph and Rose because that's JFK's mom and dad. That's Bobby Kennedy's mom and dad.
They're pretty much the closest thing to the royal family as the U.S. has ever had.
I guess so. I didn't realize the extent of all this stuff.
It's crazy.
Now, there's a few different theories as to why the Kennedys are cursed or were cursed.
Yeah.
Apparently, someone by the name of R, and these are Jewish names. I'm Muslim, so I'm not good at Jewish names. Apparently, R. Elchanan Wasserman cursed the Kennedys because John Kennedy's father apparently was an anti-Semite. Anti-Semite, and met with Hitler during World War II. Because of this, Wasserman cursed all of the Kennedys.
Okay.
There was a lot of reports that show that he sympathized with the
Nazi Germany?
the Nazis. Yeah, that he was kind of a Nazi guy,
and also being involved in the mob. So there's a lot of good stuff going on.
Right. He was a grimy politician, a grimy businessman. He actively engaged in insider trading, all kinds of fucked up stuff in the stock market that if he did it present day, he would be in prison.
No doubt.
Playing shuffleboard, getting 3 meals a day and free health care. Undoubtedly. Now, like we said before, this is not going to be an ode to JFK and his assassination.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll touch on it. We have to talk about it, but
right.
This is covering the rest of the family. Now, President Franklin D. Roosevelt, one bad motherfucker.
Bad motherfucker.
Not as bad as Theo, but, he's pretty fucking bad. Appointed Kennedy, that's Joe Kennedy, the father, to be the first chairman of the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. And he later directed the Maritime Commission. Father Joe also served as the United States ambassador to the United Kingdom from 1938 until late 1940, when he annoyed Roosevelt by his pessimism about Britain's survival. And there's an actress, I think she was an actress by the name of Marlene Dietrich, and she was someone that was fucking Joe Kennedy. She was getting
the Kennedys love their actresses, don't they?
Okay, yes. And this was such a blatant affair. It's said that people that were close to the mother, what's her name, Rose? People that were close to Rose Kennedy said she talked about how forthcoming and open Joseph Kennedy was about his affairs. How, like, that was That's what he did. That's all he did was he fucked women.
He's a playboy.
He flipped buttholes.
Flip the diddles.
Rob, a lot of people don't come to me for sex advice, and they should. And one way to start a woman like a lawnmower is to bend her legs back.
Okay.
And then you grab your middle finger, and then you flip her in the butthole as hard as you can. And she fucking starts like an old Jaguar, like a fucking 1987 Jaguar with a big engine in it. I don't know anything about cars, but I'm sure it's fast, and it's loud, and it makes a mess.
I would assume, especially the mess part.
And I need you to try it when you get home, all right?
You got it?
Just right in the old dirt button.
I'll report back.
All right.
I'll let you know how it goes.
I hope Beverly's not listening to this. Now, he was actively engaging in an affair with Marlene Dietrich, and to the point that he brought her on family vacation with the family along with his wife.
That's side chick goals.
Oh my God. Yeah, it is.
Good for her.
And
I guess.
there's reports that he would make his wife watch while he fucked her.
Okay, so she's a cuck. Okay.
I guess so.
All right, good
Is
for
that
her.
a 4chan thing?
What's that?
A cuck?
A cuck. It's a thing.
What is
cuckolding?
What is cucking or what's? I don't know.
Cuckolding. That'd be like if I fucked your wife and you watched.
I don't want to do that. I want to. I would like to fuck my wife. I enjoy that.
I'll just watch in private, as usual.
So I learned something today. It's pretty good, Rob.
Don't ask me how I know that.
It's okay. And there's also we're going to get so many emails about that one. If you're a listener of the Brohio Podcast Show and you're familiar with cuckolding or cucking out,
If you're a cuck,
I cucked out earlier today. Hamburgers and hot dogs.
Heyo.
Write us, brohiopodcast@gmail.com. Tell us your story. Also, Dolph Ziggler, if you're listening.
If you're a cuck.
Yeah. But there's a lot of reports that say not only was he engaging in this affair with this woman, but there was several women. And there was also a story that he had sex with a woman that JFK eventually had sex with in the White House as well. They fucking both railed her out. And I
That'd be kind of weird.
That would be very weird. She's like,
whose dick's bigger, mine or my father's?
Yeah. I know, never mind.
Which generation of Kennedy cock felt the best?
When I was down there eating your pussy, it smelled like my father's aftershave, and I'd really like to know why. That's what they wore back then, is aftershave. Aqua Velvet. Oh, and it also, in our research, and Rob said this right off the get-go when we started talking about this topic, that Joe Kennedy was in bed with the mafia, in particular the Chicago Mafia.
Chicago.
And that, as far as mafias go, that's the mafiest of all mafias. It's the Chicago Mafia.
Make some banging ass pizza too.
Well, they do. When I went to the Taylor Swift concert a couple weeks ago, I had deep dish pizza. My daughter hated it. She wouldn't even fucking touch it. But it was
like a pizza casserole.
Yeah, there was a lot of water on top of it. I just envisioned some big fat fuck in the back, and he takes your pizza out of the oven, he just takes a piss on it, and they bring it out to you. And,
hey, yo, why aren't you eating your pizza?
Yeah, I think he's from Ohio, so I'm gonna take a piss on it. Now, one of the major events of the life of Joe Kennedy was the Prohibition in the 1920s, and that was the women's right to vote. I think I love to do that. I love to do that. Well, they took away alcohol. Okay, well, it just so happens that once they did Prohibition, that right before this happened, Joe Kennedy had warehouses and warehouses completely full of liquor, various liquors. I think the liquor of choice might have been gin of some type. That was his big it's
a rich person drink
distribution that he had going on. So that, coupled with the fact that he was working on the stock market, I mean, he was put in charge of the Securities and Exchange Commission by FDR, and he was actively engaging in inside trading. He would fucking fuck these stocks and fuck people so hard, and it wasn't really against, I guess it was frowned upon back then, but it wasn't illegal as it is now. Now you do this stuff. I think Martha Stewart, she was doing some insider trading, and they said, "I don't fucking care. You're going to prison." And I don't know why. This is something we've never really talked about, but it's so fucked up how people with money, no matter what they fucking do, like Ted Kennedy, we'll get to him later.
Yeah,
he fucking murdered someone and did 2 days in county and got out for it. And it's all about.
It's not even real jail.
No, it's all about who you know and who you blow. That's what my dad used to say.
Yeah, it's true.
And how much money you have. If I go run a fucking stop sign out here and run someone's kid over, I'm gonna fucking go to jail for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Just this last week in Ohio, there was a trial where in Cincinnati there was a guy and he's on a country road. He goes to go around a car on a. It was no passing. Just a country road. There was no. There was no. The brakes in the line.
So solid lines.
Solid lines. He wasn't able to pass. He shoots around the guy. The guy that's getting past is like, "Oh no, fam, fuck you," and he fucking pins it. To the floorboard. And the guy that's doing the passing is like, "You haven't. You're not gonna let me pass. I'm gonna fucking gun it. I'm gonna get past you." Well, they come to a hill, and the guy that was doing the passing, he fucking hits the hill and goes airborne.
Oh.
And then coming up the hill was a family of 5.
Fuck.
And his vehicle just goes straight into the top of the van and decapitates everyone inside the van. And now they just released the verdict this past week. It came down. He's doing life in prison for the murder of that family.
Jesus.
But the guy that wouldn't let him pass, there's a big debate on whether something should happen to him or not. I don't know.
I don't think so. But...
Fucking kill both of them. I don't kill a family of 5.
Yeah.
Nothing's gonna be good enough for that family. But obviously, that's
right.
It's now if that was Ted Kennedy,
that's a rough one.
It would be no contest plea, or if it was Snoop Dogg, someone with some money. No, they'd shoot Snoop Dogg and put him in jail because he's a black rapper. That's how that goes.
Yeah.
But just powerful political figures.
If you're rich and white.
Yeah. There's all this stuff. I know, like the stuff with Hillary Clinton when she was, and all the emails, how blatant that stuff, even the stuff with Trump. I know they've found stuff that, I don't read into it a whole lot, but.
There's always stuff.
Yeah, there's always stuff.
Stuff's everywhere.
And I don't like to talk about politics, but it invigorates my senses to know that people can get away with such horrible things while you and I sitting here, we don't cut our grass. They'll give us a $200 ticket. Shut the fucking place down. So, the Kennedy family, they had a total of 9 children. There's only one still currently living. That's Jean Ann Kennedy. She's not very attractive. She looks like an old catcher's mitt now. I didn't see any old pictures of her.
Uh-huh.
And when I was investigating the family tree, I didn't realize how, what's it, Maria Shriver, Arnold Schwarzenegger's ex-wife. She's a direct descendant of the Kennedys. I didn't know that. A lot of people, I guess, know that. I did not.
Taylor Swift was dating one of the Kennedys for a little while.
Yeah. But that makes Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's a family member of the Kennedy family. He's by marriage, but he's family of the Kennedy family. I do like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I've never seen Terminator, though. I haven't.
Really?
Yeah,
damn.
Fuck that stupid movie. Now, the firstborn son was Joseph Patrick Kennedy Jr., and he was born in 1915. He bared the namesake of his father, Joseph Kennedy Sr.
Yeah, he did.
There was John F. Kennedy. He was born in 1917. Rose Marie Kennedy, 1918. Kathleen Agnes Kennedy, 1920. Eunuch Marie, they hated that fucking kid, 1922. Patricia, 1924. Robert Bobby Kennedy, the assassinated senator, 1925. Jean Ann in 1928. And then our favorite, Edward Ted Kennedy in 1932. Joseph the firstborn, it was demanded, not suggested, demanded that he would go into politics. There was never any question about that. His dad raised him to be a politician. But then in 1944, while employed by the U.S. Navy, he was doing he'd flown 25 successful combat missions in World War II. But then they had an experimental. I don't. It was almost like a kamikaze warplane. Really, it was called Operation Aphrodite.
Aphrodite.
Isn't Aphrodite like a chick with a dick? Hermaphrodite. Hermaphrodite.
It's Aphrodite.
Transsexual, pansexual, bansexual. I don't care. It's all pink on the inside. Whatever. We love you all here at the Brawlhole Podcast Show.
Each one of you.
So, in this operation, they would take there was an unmanned B-17 Flying Fortress, and they would load this thing down with 20,000 pounds worth of explosives. Well,
I don't think that's enough.
How did someone die in an unmanned airplane? Well, someone had to get the fucking thing off the ground and get it up in the air. That's where Joe Kennedy comes into the scene. So he said, sure, I'll do this experimental mission here for you guys to see if this thing's going to be a good plane or not. After 25 successful combat missions to the United States of America, he was eligible to return home. He didn't have to do this mission, but he decided he was going to do the mission anyways. So they got the thing up in the air, the B-17. They're supposed to be. The plan was for them to eject once they were up in the air,
right?
And then the radio controls would take over from there. They could, almost with a remote control, guide the plane, drive it where it needed to go. And the fucking thing blew up with him in the air. Someone hit the detonate button. Someone, fell asleep and hit their face on the detonate button. I'm not sure what happened. But the goddamn thing blew up with 20,000 pounds of explosives.
That's a lot. His
asshole was cremated in the sprinkled in the toilet. That's where he wanted to go. That was hard for Joe Kennedy. From what I read, that he was kind of he was very distraught over that. That was what he felt like was his best chance of a child reaching the peak of political greatness in the United States of America. But he was obviously wrong, because in steps John F. Kennedy.
Yeah, he did.
And he was drafted as the new political hopeful for the Kennedy family. Now this is a bit of a timeline here, is the way we're proceeding from here, about how this family is actually cursed, how they are. And for me, I think there's definitely something fishy going on with this family.
Right.
There's a lot of fucking misfortune that's happened here.
Yeah, it seems too, I don't know, it's too crazy to all just be coincidental.
Oh, for sure. Especially with conspiracies aside.
Right.
There's certainly something going on here. And it doesn't help that a family like this is automatically, whatever happens to them is magnified 1,000% because of the way they are setting in the media.
Yeah, right.
Whereas my mother, who's from the backwoods of here in Ohio, she had a lot of brothers and sisters. One of them died in a car accident whenever she was 16 or 17. She has a brother that's still living. He had a twin brother that just drowned in the river he and his twin brother were swimming in the river, and he just drowned. And then she had another brother that was born with cerebral palsy, and he just passed away when he was about 15. So I think he's like 6 or 7 brothers and sisters. She's not old. She's only got one sister and one brother left out of the 6 or 7, and it was all kind of weird deaths for sure. And but something like this with the Kennedys, it's a large family. Obviously, there was 9 kids.
Yeah, 9.
It magnifies it a lot. So now in 1948, Kathleen, or as they like to call her, Kick Kennedy, Cavendish, she died in a plane crash. She was the 4th of Rose and Joe Kennedy's 9 children, but she stood out in her vivacious personality. If you look at all 9 Kennedy children, she was the only one who didn't march down the prescribed road. So they say she was kind of a free spirit. She was, she didn't necessarily like to go with the grain on all the, the certain things that the Kennedys expected out of her, and she was kind of a fucking wild one.
Good for her.
She's just out there showing the shitty kitty to everybody. Anyone that wanted to see the shitty kitty,
just slinging that thing.
She's just flip it up and say,
flapping it everywhere.
Hey boys, check out this hamburger sandwich I got right here in my panties. come check out this hamburger right here. Because if, I'm telling you, you ladies, you want to turn a man on, refer to your vagina as a hamburger.
A Krabby Patty.
We're Arby's Big Montana. You want some horsey sauce in this fucking thing or not? Because I got extra sauce today, baby. Oh my god, I can't do the vaginas when they look like someone fucking stomped a bottle of Miracle Whip on it. I can't do it. Not that I've ever had to deal with that. I feel
I
like
don't even know what that means.
I feel like if I had a vagina, that's what it would look like.
Just a big sloppy
It
one.
just looked like fucking. It looked like a vanilla soft serve dispenser.
Oh God.
All kinds of gnarly shit. Some old man would pull my panties down and say, "I think I just saw a tree frog come out of there." We gotta do this or not, you fucking bitch. All right, we're talking about Kick Kennedy. When she was 24, she married Bill Cavendish, the Marquis? How the fuck do you pronounce that, Rob?
I don't know where the fuck we're at.
He was a fucking king or
Marquis,
a
Marquis
he was a prince or something of Hardington. 4 months later, Billy was killed in combat. Years later, Kick met another man, the 9th Earl Fitzwilliam. He was in the process of getting a divorce. They wanted to marry after the divorce. She and Fitzwilliam were traveling to the French Riviera for vacation when their plane crashed.
God.
And all 4 passengers died.
Those are the most pretentious names.
They really are. I don't like that. What's that, Marquis of Hardington?
Earl Fitzwilliam.
Earl Fitzwilliam.
I bet that's what he sounded like.
Earl Fitzwilliam, if you're a listener of the Brohio podcast show, I would like to tell you how stupid I think your fucking name is. Write us. Let us know where it came from, how much you've been picked on your entire life. All right, moving on. I'm going to pass it over to Rob Dog. He's going to tell you about their daughter. And let me pretense this here.
I feel like this is probably the saddest one.
A lot of people don't know about the Kennedy daughter.
The daughter, yeah, she was kept in the shadows for a lot of her life,
and she had a miserable life.
Yeah,
This just speaks volumes about the character of her father, how much of a fucking shitball he was.
Mm-hmm.
And it's super interesting. I think you guys will enjoy it.
Yep. So let's get into Rosemary Kennedy. Now, she was born September 13th, 1918. She was actually the first daughter born to Papa Joe and Mama Rose. During the labor session, there was not a doctor present to deliver Rosemary.
Oh, yeah.
So, to bide time for a doctor to come to assist in the childbirth, a nurse actually reached into Rose's birth canal and held her in place until the doctor could get there.
No, bitch, you ain't coming out today.
Yeah.
You keep your bitch ass up in that pussy hole.
Yeah, that's just bizarre. First off, people were having many thousands of years were people having babies before
Since the beginning of time, Rob.
Exactly.
I don't know. I think childbirth had just started a couple weeks before that, but it was still kind of new for everybody.
That's the way it seems.
And I read that one of the reasons that she would have possibly kept the baby up inside her, the nurse kept the baby, because the doctors back then would only get paid for the birth if they were there for the birth. So,
jeez.
Whereas now a doctor, we've got the most fucked up healthcare system in the entire world. But
yeah, we do.
A doctor can kind of preside over birth, and he still, I would assume he still gets paid for it. Back then, if he wasn't digging the little booger out of the fucking gash in the lady, then he wasn't getting paid for it. So then the nurses would do whatever they could to keep the babies up inside these women.
Obviously.
And they squeezed a little too hard on this one.
Yeah, so supposedly, due to her being held in place in the womb, this actually caused a lack of oxygen to be delivered to her brain, and whenever she was born, it actually caused her to have some mental deficiencies. So,
Rob, you ever leave your pizza rolls in the microwave for way too long, and then you get them out, and just everything inside the pizza roll's gone? You don't know where the fuck it went.
Yeah,
it was just in the microwave for too long. That's kind of what happened here. They left her in there for too long. when all the vital parts just kind of
vanished.
Yeah.
So Joe and Rose both sensed that something was wrong with her mentally, and the problems persisted and were actually more noticeable, of course, the older that she became.
Yeah, they flushed her down the toilet.
As a child, growing up as a small child, she would try to play with her siblings. She was unable to keep up with them, with running and playing, and all in all, like everything that she wasn't developing the way that she should have been.
Yeah. It's hard to grow at the same rate of your brothers and sisters when you're eating crayons.
Damn it.
No.
Oh,
No.
God. So her not being included in a lot of the activities that the other kids would be doing would cause her to go into fits, which we talked about last episode, I believe, or she would have seizures, and
I think this might have been a little bit different. I think she just had some behavior issues more so than seizure issues.
Yeah.
I think that there was possibly, from what I could tell, some mental health issues that she was fighting that was at that time hard to diagnose. But
yeah, and in these early times, any type of mental illness was, it's not common and pretty frowned upon.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's different. It's different now than what it used to be back in the early 1900s. So you can do a lot more than what you could back then, and especially
they did something back then.
Especially in a family like this, they didn't want anything to kind of hold them back.
Yeah, they absolutely demanded a pristine presentation to the public.
Exactly. So they actually ended up pulling her out of school. They privately tutored her.
Yeah, they shot her.
And she was eventually sent to a boarding school. So in 1928, Joe was named ambassador to the court of St. James in England. So the entire family moved and were presented in public, all of them, including Rosemary. So she was dressed up all nice and purty. The Kennedys at this point hadn't let anyone know of Rose's disability, so they kept everything hush-hush. They pretty much were all kind of, trying to keep it a secret.
Yeah, I heard, from what I read, she really thrived in England, though, that she really did well over there.
Yeah, she did. She was actually placed into a Catholic school, and this was ran by nuns in England. They taught her, they actually had a lot of breakthroughs with her. They taught her a lot. They were training her to be a teacher's aide, and she was turning out, fairly normal for her condition and everything.
And what I read, she wasn't that much different. She just kind of had, I mean, most of the time she was normal. She didn't have any issues, but then when she had the fits and the rages and stuff, that's when they're like, we gotta fucking do something with this.
Yeah.
God damn.
So going to the 40s. The Kennedys were actually forced to leave England and go back to the States due to Germany marching on Paris. And, of course, since they left, this stopped Rosemary from being taught here. So whenever she got back to the States, she was placed into a convent. This is...
Sounds hot.
This is a Christian community, like priests, brothers, sisters, nuns, all that good stuff. So, according to the nuns here...
She let the shitty kitty run free there.
She did. According to the nuns, Rosemary constantly snuck out at night. She would go to bars, and she would go home with random men.
Ooh-wee!
Just slinging that shitty kitty.
Rosemary, you was nasty.
Good for her. Now, at this time, Joe was also helping his oldest son. This is when he was really gung-ho on helping Joe and John in politics. He was really coaching them through that. And once again, they thought that Rosemary's deficiencies could cause unwanted problems for the family, so they began searching for an answer to these problems.
So the thought process was, there's something wrong with her. She is going to shut down this political machine all by herself.
Right. She's going to be the gear and the wrench of this fluid running machine.
Just how much dick was she out trolling for on the week when she was getting out?
That's escaping. What I want to know. Yeah.
I would like to... God, Rosemary, hit us up here at the Brohio Podcast Show.
Yeah, too bad she's dead.
She was, I saw like we talked before, she was very attractive, but the whole family, they look like fucking Greek gods, man.
They really do.
Except for JFK.
So...
Motherfucker, head was all fucked up.
Damn it. You're good looking, but you're missing part of your head.
Yeah, fucking pumpkin-headed fuck.
So, their answers, when they were searching for him, they decided to cue in a doctor two doctors actually named Walter Freeman
Kevorkian.
and his associate Dr. James Watts. So they explained a procedure that would cure would cure mentally and physically disabled people.
Smoked pot with Johnny Hopkins.
It was Johnny Hopkins and Sloan Kettering.
They were blazing
that shit up. So this procedure, of course, was a lobotomy. So
A what?
a lobotomy,
Oh yeah, isn't that where someone skull fucks you until your brains fall out?
practically.
All right.
So at this time,
This is so sad.
lobotomies were kind of seen as like a cure-all medical procedure and was actually widely recommended by physicians. Joe was told of this procedure and that it was occasionally effective but could also be very destructive. He was actually told by one woman that her daughter who had had the procedure was pretty much the same person on the outside, but inside completely different. So it completely changed.
Man.
So he had fair warning of what could potentially happen.
Yeah.
But he was to the point to where he didn't need any convincing whatsoever. He thought it was his last hope. He needed to get something done. He didn't want, this to be exposed and ruin everything that he'd built his entire life.
I can't believe there was a time in our society when it was acceptable to just shove a knife in someone's eyeball until you hit their brain, and then swash it around until they were like
until they were just done.
Yeah,
right. It's crazy. Now, Joe, of course, just said, "Let's go ahead. We're going to go forward with the procedure." Mama Rose, she claims years later that she had no idea that the procedure was completed until after the fact.
which just fucking fortifies my theory that Joseph was a dickhead.
Yeah, either she's trying to make it seem like she's not a bad person as well, or he really was the go for it. And as powerful as he was, I could definitely see him calling the shots there.
Oh yeah.
So 1941, at the age of 23, Rosemary was given a lobotomy, and these are quotes from the doctor here that I'm about to give you exactly what had happened. "We went through the top of the head. I think she was still awake. She had a mild tranquilizer. I made a surgical incision in the brain through the skull. It was near the front. It was on both sides. We just made a small incision, no more than an inch. The instrument Dr. Watts used looked like a butter knife. He swung it up and down to cut the brain tissue. We put an instrument inside," he said. "As Dr. Watts cut, Dr. Freeman puts questions to Rosemary. For example, he asked her to recite the Lord's Prayer, or to sing God Bless America, or count backwards. We made an estimate on how far to cut based on how she responded.
Jesus.
When she became incoherent, they stopped." So, pretty much they were telling her, to sing, to do poems, and then they decided to stop once she could no longer talk.
Oh man, that's rough.
Yeah, it's really rough. And immediately after the procedure, of course, they knew that something went wrong. Rosemary was no longer able to speak or even walk. She was sent to an institution.
There's no more pepperoni left in these pizza rolls here. What the fuck happened here? I think I'm actually at a 3 instead of a 1 on the timer here. No more pepperoni or cheese left in these pizza rolls.
Oh man, that's so horrible. So she was sent to an institution where she actually spent months in physical therapy before she could even partially move one of her arms. She spent 20 years in this institution without the ability to walk, talk, or see her family. Nobody would went and seen
Right,
her.
that's the worst part about all this is after they fucking drop kicked her goddamn brain, they just left her. They abandoned her. They left her.
Yeah, they just essentially forgot about
And
her.
this is the all-American family that they're trying to portray here.
Yeah.
And she was cast away essentially. She was
exiled.
Yeah.
Completely. Now, until Joe had a massive stroke back in 1961. So after this happened, Rose decided to go visit her again. Only 20 years later. I mean,
Right.
hey, what could possibly go wrong?
Lee Harvey Oswald's like, I got you, fam.
So when Rose decided to go visit her daughter, Rosemary, of course, she actually ended up attacking her in a panicked rage because she was unable to she couldn't express herself in any
Right.
other way. So that's the first thing she could have even, thought to do was just go crazy.
Kick her mom's ass.
Yeah, exactly. And after this point, the Kennedy family, they started realizing, that what they did was pretty fucked up. So
Put it back in the microwave.
they decided to actually be a voice for the mentally disabled. John F. Kennedy used his presidency to sign the Maternal and Child Health and Mental Retardation Planning Amendment to the Social Security Act. That's the precursor to Americans with Disability Act, which his brother Ted pushed for during his time as a senator. Eunice Kennedy, JFK, and Rosemary's sister also founded Special Olympics in 1962. Why did I say that weird? Olympics. And
Olympus.
that's to champion the achievements and achievements and abilities of physically and mentally disabled.
Well, ultimately, I guess there was some good that came out of it then.
Yeah. Now she was end up getting sent to a place called Craig's House, which was a private psychiatric hospital. This is in New York.
It's kind of like Craigslist with a lot more butt fucking.
And then in 1949, she was relocated to St. Coletta's School for the Exceptional Children. And that sounds like something you'd send X-Men.
That's where I went to school.
Yeah, this is in Wisconsin. She spent the rest of her life there. So when Joe died in 1969, she was occasionally taken to Florida and Washington, D.C. with the relatives to visit them and just go along with them and actually spend time with them. She had learned to walk again by that point, albeit though she did have kind of a wonky little limp, and she was still unable to speak completely clearly, and had one of her arms was palsied, so she couldn't really. It just kind of laid there.
I'm sorry, did you say she had a wonky limp?
Yeah, she had a bad leg, so she had a limp. So she.
I was cleaning out the elephant's cage and it stuck its big old dick in me. Fuck me. Now I walk with a bit of a wonky limp.
Forrest Whitaker's eye. That was kind of like her leg.
Oh my god.
So she lived all the way until January 7th, 2005, when she actually died from natural causes at the age of 86.
That's a long, fruitful life, albeit.
Yeah. She was actually at the side of her sisters, Jean, Eunice, and Patricia, and her brother Ted when she passed away. And she was actually the first child of Joe and Rose who actually died of natural causes.
Oh, wow.
And of course, it's the one that they lobotomized. So
when they fucked up.
The one that they probably didn't want to live at all lived.
It's true.
Longest, yeah. It's such a sad story.
And to think about, all of America thought Joseph Kennedy was this awesome dad with this fantastic family. Here he was, putting the pizza rolls in the microwave for too long. But the thing is, the factors that made her the way she was, unfortunately, wasn't necessarily a fault of the family. It was a complete letdown by the medical industry, essentially, by not letting her give birth. So, and that
Very
stuff
true.
still, and I read in these baby center forums and shit. You ever go on baby center forums?
No.
Man, the moms are they're worried about everything. But this stuff still happens. These,
Right.
and apparently some think it's a really big deal, and some say, just do it. Just do it. You can't fuck the baby up, but obviously the child can be hurt by this. So
Obviously.
to think that this shit is still going on is completely crazy to me. And while we're speaking about babies and children, that's a good segue for our next part of the topic here. JFK and Jackie's children.
Yeah.
Jackie Kennedy, the wife of JFK, was pregnant 5 times, and in 1955 she had a miscarriage. Then she gave birth to a stillborn baby girl whom they named Arabella. Finally, Jackie gave birth to healthy babies. Her third and fourth pregnancies produced Caroline and John. Now, in 1963, while John Kennedy was president, Jackie gave birth to their third child, Patrick
Bouvier
Kennedy. Patrick was the first baby born to an active president since the 1800s. However, he was born with respiratory problems. He died only 2 days later after his birth with a cause of death of respiratory distress syndrome. Back then, the highly deadly disease killed 25,000 infants a year.
Whew.
Now, due to medical breakthroughs, the survival rate is somewhere north of 95%. So they had a hard time conceiving children. Rob's laughing.
I'm laughing at your fucking next note.
Okay.
God damn it.
All right. Well, I do my best to carry the load of my half of the research, Rob. And if you want to start helping me with my shit and doing my stuff for me.
Oh, God, it's so funny.
So, speaking about JFK and Jackie here, they obviously had a hard time with the children. Later, John Jr., he would pass away from some very strange circumstances. And now we're moving on to the death of JFK.
I'm dying over here.
And if you're not familiar with JFK, in 1963, JFK was shot by John Wilkes Booth in Ford Theater. He was watching a play called Hello Neighbor, or something like that. My American Neighbor.
Is that the Mr. Rogers movie?
Yeah, John Wilkes Booth was very upset about the South not winning the war. So he shot JFK there at the theater. And God rest his soul, 16th President of the United States of America.
Gunned down. Just enjoying his evening.
From behind.
Yep.
He wasn't shot by the driver. He wasn't, there was no one on the grassy knoll.
No, he was inside watching a movie.
Wilkes Booth
Watching a
walked
play.
in that theater box. Smoked him. All right.
Cold blood.
And for you,
God.
for our friends from over the pond that have no fucking clue what we're talking about.
We're going to get hate mail for that.
JFK was assassinated by Lee Harvey Oswald.
Allegedly.
In 1963. Lee Harvey Oswald was a patsy.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe
Allegedly.
not. Allegedly.
For the CIA.
Or he was a product of the MK Ultra mental experiments, which we're going to cover that as well.
Can't wait to get into this.
We're going to do that episode with Terry Izzy Rock from the Gym City podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Looking forward to that.
It's going to be good.
But we're not going to go into the details of the JFK assassination. He was shot while serving as the President of the United States of America. It's just one more bump in the road here as far as the fucking cursed family that is the Kennedys.
Mm-hmm.
And the further we get down this list, the further I'm like, okay, yeah, something stinky's going on here. And now at the beginning of the episode, you heard the references about Ted Kennedy. Now, Ted Kennedy was the youngest of all of the children. He was grimy just like the rest of them. And now in JFK, there's a few quotes where he said, I can't go an entire day without a good lay. And that's a direct quote of JFK.
Mm-hmm.
I feel you, dog. It's not happening. I would like for it to happen, but it's not happening. If you're JFK, though...
Like a Frito-Lay?
Yeah, like a fucking, yeah.
Nice crispy potato chip.
Yeah, you're going to shove them corn chips up in that booty hole, bitch. They're going to ship me out a walking taco.
You like walking tacos, Rob?
I do.
All right. You like pizza rolls?
I do.
I like mine with all the toppings on the inside. I like it full.
Makes sense.
In 1964, 9 months after John was assassinated at Ford Theater, Ted Kennedy then was, time he was 32 years old, and he was a senator. He was flying to Massachusetts to campaign. He was traveling with his legislative aides. A fellow senator.
He had AIDS?
He did.
Okay.
Positive. Magic Johnson positive. The senator's wife and the pilot, when the plane crashed, Kennedy was badly injured, but his aide, Edward Moss, and the pilot, Edwin Zimney, died. Kennedy spent 5 months in a hospital and experienced lifelong back injuries. Joining him on the flight were Birch Bay and his wife.
Bitch bye.
Bitch bye. And like we said, we mentioned the other names before, but Kennedy, he broke 3 vertebrae and 2 ribs and had a collapsed lung.
Oof.
And this confined him in a special brace that they had to put him in the brace so his fucking back could heal.
He's pretty much in like a hamster wheel for a human.
He was. And he said that during the time that he spent in the hospital recovering from this accident, he had time to read books he had skipped in college and to get tutorials from Harvard professors who came to visit. So they say politically and professionally he grew a whole lot, leaps and bounds, while he spent this time in the hospital. But this didn't slow him down. He continued to do fucking stupid shit, get fucked up, crash cars, fuck bitches, and get money and smoke weed, okay? So we're all a little bit like Ted Kennedy on the inside. I would have to imagine them Kennedy brothers just had the biggest dicks of all time because just how much Hairy snatch they were getting into constantly.
Spraying that yogurt everywhere.
Yeah.
You want some of this purple-headed yogurt slinger? Some of that good.
In 1968, Bobby Kennedy, or Robert Kennedy, as his parents gave him the name at birth, he was assassinated during his primaries campaign. After winning the California presidential primary, Robert Kennedy was assassinated by Sirhan. And we had to look it up, Rob, and make sure we pronounced it correctly. We did, right as he walked off the podium, Sirhan walked up and smoked him 3 times.
3 times.
And like they said in the video we just watched, Bobby Kennedy, everyone was a fan of him. The blacks, the whites, the people with a lot of money, the people with no money, everyone was a fan of Robert Kennedy. I know that the assassination of John F. Kennedy shook a lot of people to the core.
Mm-hmm.
But just as much as that broke them, this did just the same. I mean, it was just like swallowing the most bitter pill ever right after you swallow the first one in the first place. And it was tough for a lot of people. And I have relatives that remember this and remember how tough it was to watch this all unfold. And this happened at the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles. Sirhan was a Palestinian. He said that he killed Kennedy for supporting Israel. Sirhan was sentenced to death, but since the California Supreme Court abolished the death penalty in 1972, he's now serving a life sentence where he's currently still alive. Now, this is where it gets fucking hairy, Rob. Get your wieners out. In 2017, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. had a face-to-face meeting with Sirhan and left the meeting with the thought that Sirhan was completely innocent of the crime. And there's all kinds of theories about what actually happened to Robert F. Kennedy. There's plenty of damning evidence against Sirhan, adds the paper that I looked at here. It says this includes his confession at the trial, the hours of target practice with his pistol earlier in the day, and taking the gun into the Ambassador Hotel that night. Testimony of Los Angeles County Coroner Thomas Noguchi, he maintained from the start that Kennedy was shot from behind and at a closer range, which witnesses said Sirhan could not have done. There's also the theory that though Sirhan admitted at his trial in 1969 that he shot Kennedy, he claimed from the start that he had absolutely no memory of doing so. More recently,
MKUltra.
Right. More recently, Sirhan's lawyer have explored whether he was hypnotized to begin shooting his gun when given a certain cue. Hiring an expert in hypnosis from Harvard to meet him, says the Washington Post. In 2016, the U.S. Magistrate Judge Andrew Wistrich dismissed the suggestion, but like Rob said before, this falls right in line with the heyday of Project MKUltra, where they would break the minds down.
Yeah, they would pretty much reconfigure your brain and use code words to pretty much have you change personalities.
They would use all kinds of drugs, all kinds of shit to make you do things just at the... all it would take was the drop of a pot, or maybe someone to snap their finger, or maybe someone to say hello.
Code words to turn you off and turn you on.
It would cue this person that was under the hypnotized state of the MKUltra project.
Yeah. Kind of the same thing with like a Manchurian Candidate. It's kind of the same thing as well.
They would carry out the deed, and that's what they say. The Sirhan guy was a project of this. That he might be innocent, and it speaks volumes that the fucking guy that was shot, his own flesh and blood, his son, went to go meet face to face with Sirhan and said that this guy didn't do it. Something else is fishy here. This guy didn't do it. But I guess that could be an episode all in itself.
Yeah, definitely.
And now my favorite shitbag here, Ted.
Okay.
And this is in reference to his misfortune in 1969 at the Chappaquiddick Island. Ted was attending a reunion of people who worked on Robert Kennedy's campaign, along with 6 campaign secretaries and 5 other men. You do that ratio for me right there, Rob. He offered to drive. Very creepy. very creepy fashion, he offered to drive 28-year-old Mary Jo Kopechny to the ferry, which would have taken them to Martha's Vineyard. Instead of turning towards the road to go to the ferry, though, Ted took a dirt road to the beach.
Way to go, Ted.
Bust that pussy open, bust that. He was taking her down there to fuck her in the sand, Rob. There's no doubt in my mind. I'm not trying to be funny
romantic.
I'm not trying to be funny right now. This piece of shit was married at the time, and he was taking her down there, and he was going to fucking crack some rounds off in her gut, and he was just going to do it to it, okay? And soon after this happened, he hurtled over a bridge into a pond. Somehow, he was able to escape from the car. Kennedy says, I hate even calling him Kennedy. Ted Kennedy tried to rescue Mary Jo, but did not call the police. He didn't call for help. He didn't fucking do anything. Then at 8:30 a.m., 2 fishermen spotted the car and called the police. A driver concluded that Kopechny had actually died of asphyxiation, not drowning. She'd been breathing through an air bubble for 3 to 4 hours waiting for rescue. This cum-stained Ted Kennedy didn't call the police or the authorities for 10 hours until after the accident happened. He pleaded guilty to leaving the scene of an accident and was given 2 months of suspended jail time. There was also, it goes back to having to being able to do whatever the fuck you want because of who you are and who you know, who you blow. But him not calling, my theory is he didn't call the police for 10 hours. Why? Because he was fucking hammered drunk. I have no doubt about that. And I think there was probably some entitlement involved there that said, you know, I can't fuck this up for my family and for what I got going on. And that's exactly what's going to happen here. If I call the police here, I'm going to ruin it for everybody. So he was very selfish, and someone died over his actions. There are currently people in our justice system serving life sentences for nonviolent crimes, whether that be the distribution of, I am almost certain there are people doing life sentences for the distribution of marijuana. And you got guys like this that
crazy
that actually fucking took someone's life that didn't even see the inside of a jail.
American judicial system there for you.
Oh, yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
And that helps us jump to our next subject, Joseph Kennedy's, his name was Joseph Kennedy, Bobby Kennedy's son. Robert Kennedy was assassinated at the age of 43 and left 11 children behind, including Joseph P. Kennedy II. At the age of 20, Joe Kennedy was driving a Jeep in Nantucket, and all of these misfortunes happened in like Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard, all these fancy places that the elite like to play, you know. Joe Kennedy was driving a Jeep in Nantucket with 6 other people, including his brother David and his brother's girlfriend. Pamela Barkley, David's then girlfriend, was left paralyzed. David was injured. Now, obviously, he didn't die in that accident, but someone was left paralyzed for the rest of their life. Yeah. Next in our timeline here, in 1984, David Kennedy, he was the son of Robert Kennedy as well. On June 5th, 1954, when David Kennedy was 12 years old.
1984.
What did I say?
54.
1984. June 5th, 1984. When David Kennedy was 12 years old, he nearly drowned in Malibu. His father, Robert Kennedy, dove in to save David from the undertow. The following day, Robert won the Democratic ticket in the California victory and was assassinated that evening.
Jeez.
Talk about a fucking rough vacation.
Ugh.
David heard the news while watching TV by himself. So here he is, 12 years old, has no idea that his dad's been killed, and he hears it on the TV. David turned to drugs soon after this traumatic incident and eventually became addicted to heroin and alcohol. He eventually died at the young age of 28 years old of an overdose.
Oof, that's rough.
That's a rough way to go, man.
Oh, man.
And then in 1997, Michael Kennedy, he died in a skiing accident. Michael Kennedy was one of Robert Kennedy's 11 children. He died at the age of 39 after crashing into a tree while skiing. Prior to his death, Michael had been in the press because of his public affair with his family babysitter, which allegedly began before she was 16. And that's even going this far down the family tree, it's pretty clear that the patriarch, Joe Kennedy, they said that he ingrained in his sons that's what you do is you cheat on your spouse. That's
Morals.
Yeah, that's you fuck, and you fuck some more. And to go back, there was the story about how when John F. Kennedy was finally elected as president, there was a 60-year-old actress, and he called her up, and he got her in the Oval Office, and he, fucked the dog shit out of her.
Mm-hmm.
And then as she was leaving, he asked her, he said, "Hey, is it true that you had a go around with my father?" And she wasn't very forthcoming about whether she had been sexually active with JFK's father, but friends associated with Joe Kennedy said that was one of his biggest, that was his trophy, was that one right there. Like, that was his
main bitch.
Big claim to fame was banging this specific woman. So they were definitely inside the same vagina.
Hey.
It's like fucking having sex in a time machine.
Right.
Fucking awesome. And one thing I didn't touch on is the death of JFK's son. I know Rob grabbed that over there.
Yeah, John F. Kennedy Jr. This is I think, of course, it's the only one that I vividly remember. I just remember seeing it on the news.
Yeah,
it was a big deal. And this is, of course, John F. Kennedy Jr. He is the only son of President John F. Kennedy that's actually survived infancy. And he actually died in a plane crash. This is 1999. This is, of course, is off the coast of Martha's Vineyard. Ugh. He was only 38 at the time. It was him, his wife, Carolyn Bessette Kennedy, his sister-in-law, Lauren Bessette. They were also passengers on the plane, and they both died as well. They were actually on their way from New Jersey to his cousin Rory Kennedy's wedding at the time as well. The National Transportation Safety Board concluded after a year-long investigation that Kennedy failed to maintain control of the airplane during a descent over water at night, which was a result of spatial disorientation. Factors in the accident were haze and the dark night. So,
purple haze all up in my brain.
Pretty much just flying at night. I'm assuming that inexperienced flying at night, and just later.
Hey, you bitches ever flew upside down before?
You want to do barrel roll?
Yeah. You ever flew into the fucking ground at 300 miles per hour?
Oh, man, it's crazy.
It is crazy. Now, there was a Discord, a couple guys from Australia that did a Discord show, and they reviewed us. They said what they thought about the Brahio podcast show. They had nothing but good things to say.
Okay.
They gave us a modest B+, which I'm happy with that.
I'll take it.
I was not an A+ student in school.
Nope. I was a D student.
I am not an A+ podcaster. We're about a D-, but they gave us a B+.
Hey,
but they said one of the things that they would like to hear more from us is our opinion, our final opinion of the cases that we touch on. So,
okay.
Do you think the Kennedys were cursed? Do you think that pissed off Jew man cursed the Kennedys?
I don't know if it's necessarily a curse per se, but I do very well think that there may have been someone who had it out for the family, or a lot of someone's.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's very safe to say that, with his father's dealings in the mob, and
there's some deep-rooted mafia conspiracies with the death of JFK.
Yeah, with JFK, that's deeply rooted. I'm assuming that he probably could have pissed off enough people to have a large vendetta against him. So, I wouldn't rule it out.
That many, just to go after his entire family.
It's crazy. I mean, it very well could be coincidental.
But you want to talk about some vindictive motherfuckers is the mafia. That's their thing is they don't just come for you, they come for your family, man.
Mm-hmm.
They make you pay.
Hey, I got nothing but good things to say about them.
Nothing but great things to say about their pizza, their women, their fat asses in general,
their abilities to wear gold chains and have a hairy chest.
I
wish I could do that.
Yeah, I want a gold chain really bad.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah,
I want one.
And I'm kind of along the same lines as you, Rob. I think that there's some certain elements of I guess we should say accidents.
Mm-hmm.
There's accident-prone things going on here. I think,
right.
The drug overdose, which is sitting right in front of my face here, that's just misfortune,
mm-hmm.
despair. I mean, that's how that stuff happens every second of every day in America.
Right.
And that's a tough thing to handle. And if you're dealing with something like that, reach out, talk to somebody. But in the element of this, I gotta say that I'm with you that there were people that didn't want them to have the power that they had, and they had it out for them because it just. Right. I think there was a lot of government stuff involved with JFK, and then even to roll over to Robert Kennedy.
Mm-hmm.
To where his very own son spoke to his murderer and said he didn't do it.
Right. And that's a really weird one too, so that you never know. Especially with the whole MK Ultra twist to it.
I wish I could have been part of that experiment. And honestly, I'm going to start chipping away as far as trying to find, I don't care how much of a fucking Looney Tune they are, but I'm going to start trying to find people that allegedly say they were part of the MK Ultra experiment, and that'll be my big fish to reel in for that episode. Is someone that we can interview that was claimed to be part of the experiment.
I got one for you.
Someone that
I don't know anyone personally, but I know people that have done. I know someone that's done interviews, so we'll see if we can get him.
Okay.
I don't know his name off the top of my head. I'll have to look it up though, but I'll find it.
I can't wait.
Yeah. So hopefully they'll be open to it. That'll be pretty cool.
Yeah. Now, our next episode is going to be a Patreon-sponsored episode by Jackie Wyatt. I remembered her name. Doomsday Cults.
Yeah.
There's going to be all kinds of fucking disastrous shit going on.
We haven't gave a heads up on what our episode's going to be in a while.
I know
We usually don't know our episode the day of recording.
Because other podcasts like to steal our topics.
Yeah.
Steal our shticks.
It's okay. We got more reviews than them now.
Yeah, I know. The cool thing about that shtick is you can take it and shove it up your fucking ass. So, thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you, guys. You're great.
We appreciate you so much.
Love ya.
I love you. I want to fuck all your moms.
And dads.
Your grandpas.